My husband demanded I let his friend stay the night every weekend because bro time comes first. When I refused, he tossed my blanket to the couch and smirked, "You can sleep here if you have a problem." His friend laughed until I grabbed my suitcase, walked to the door, and said, "Then you two can have the bedroom, this wife is checking out." I've been married to Mike for 5 years, and we live in a cozy neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. Our life together has been mostly smooth, with the usual ups and downs that any couple faces. But recently, something has been gnawing at me, and I need to share it here to get some perspective. Mike has this childhood friend, Dave. They've been inseparable since grade school, sharing countless memories and experiences. I've always admired their bond and encouraged Mike to maintain his friendships. However, over the past few months, Dave's presence in our lives has intensified in a way that's starting to affect our marriage. It began subtly. Dave would drop by on Friday evenings, often unannounced, to hang out with Mike. They'd watch sports, play video games, or just chat over beers. I didn't mind at first. Everyone needs time with their friends. But soon, these visits became a regular fixture. Every Friday, without fail, Dave would be at our doorstep, duffel bag in hand, ready to spend the entire weekend with us. Our home, which once felt like a private sanctuary for Mike and me, started to feel crowded. I found myself retreating to our bedroom more often, giving them space in the living room. The dynamic shifted, and I felt like a guest in my own home. One particular Friday stands out in my memory. I had an exhausting week at work and was looking forward to a quiet evening with Mike. As I pulled into our driveway, I saw Dave's car parked out front. My heart sank. I walked in to find the two of them laughing on the couch, beers in hand, completely engrossed in a game. I took a deep breath and approached Mike. "Can we talk for a moment?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He glanced at me, a hint of annoyance flashing across his face. "Can it wait? Dave and I are in the middle of something." I felt a lump form in my throat but pressed on. "No, it can't. Please." Mike sighed, pausing the game. "Fine. What's up?" I led him to the kitchen, away from Dave's earshot. "Mike, I understand that Dave is important to you, and I respect that. But having him over every weekend unannounced is starting to take a toll on me. We barely have any time for ourselves." Mike leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "He's my best friend, Lisa. He's going through a rough patch, and I'm just trying to be there for him." "I get that," I replied, my voice softening. "But what about us? Our marriage needs nurturing too. Can't we set some boundaries?" He shook his head, a smirk playing on his lips. "Bro time comes first. If you have a problem with it, maybe you should sleep on the couch." I stared at him, disbelief washing over me. Before I could respond, Dave's laughter echoed from the living room. That was the breaking point. Without another word, I turned on my heel, marched upstairs, and pulled out my suitcase. I began packing essentials, my mind racing. Mike appeared in the doorway, confusion evident on his face. "What are you doing?" he demanded. I zipped up the suitcase and met his gaze. "Since you and Dave need your bro time so much, I'll give you all the space you need. This wife is checking out." Pushing past him, I descended the stairs, grabbed my keys, and walked out the door. I didn't look back. I checked into a nearby hotel for the night, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. The next morning, I called my best friend, Sarah, and recounted everything. "Lisa, you deserve better than this," she said, anger evident in her voice. "Come stay with me for a while." I took her up on the offer and moved in with her temporarily. Days turned into weeks, and Mike's attempts to contact me were minimal. It became clear where his priorities lay. One evening, Sarah and I were sipping wine on her porch when she suggested, "You should share your story online. It might help you process everything and get some support." I was hesitant, but decided to post on a relationship advice forum. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. People from all over shared similar experiences and offered words of encouragement. One comment stood out: "Sometimes, walking away is the strongest move you can make. It shows you value yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve." That resonated deeply. I realized I had been compromising my happiness for someone who didn't respect me. I decided to file for divorce. The process was emotionally draining, but with Sarah's support and the encouragement from online communities, I found the strength to move forward. Mike didn't contest the divorce. In fact, he barely showed any emotion throughout the proceedings. A few months later, I found a quaint apartment downtown and started rebuilding my life. I joined a book club, took up yoga, and even started painting again, a hobby I'd abandoned during my marriage. One day, while grocery shopping, I bumped into an old acquaintance, Mark. We chatted briefly, and he asked about Mike. I told him about the divorce, and he shook his head. Mike always took things for granted, he said. I'm glad to see you're doing well, Lisa. As I walked away, I realized he was right. I had been taken for granted, but no more. I was reclaiming my life, one step at a time. Months turned into a year, and I found myself happier than I'd been in a long time. I learned the importance of self-respect and setting boundaries. My experience became a testament to others that it's okay to walk away when you're not valued. And as for Mike and Dave? I heard through the grapevine that their weekend escapades fizzled out. Without someone to handle the household responsibilities, reality hit them hard. In the end, I didn't need revenge. Living my best life was enough. 2 weeks after the divorce papers were signed, Mike showed up at my new apartment. I wasn't expecting him. I had just finished my morning coffee and was halfway through folding laundry when there was a loud knock on the door. I opened it and froze. Mike stood there with a worn-out hoodie, eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't even say hi. He just looked past me into the apartment like he was still entitled to know what was going on in my life. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice flat. "I made a mistake," he said, swallowing hard. "I miss you." I let out a dry laugh. "You miss me? Now that your buddy doesn't want to sleep on your couch every weekend." He didn't deny it. Just stood there like a statue. Dave moved back to Cleveland. Got back with his ex. I realized too late that I pushed you away. That line hit like a cheap punch. Not because I still had feelings for him, those had drained out of me the day he told me to sleep on the couch, but because he came crawling back only after being left alone. "I'm not your backup plan," I said, stepping back. "Go home, Mike." But he didn't. Not right away. He kept coming by over the next few days, texting, calling, even waiting outside my job once. I had to have my manager walk me to my car. That's when I knew this wasn't just regret. It was obsession. Then something happened that made my skin crawl. I came home from work one night and noticed my apartment door slightly open. My stomach dropped. I know I locked it. I stood in the hallway for a full minute, heart pounding in my chest. I slowly stepped in, keys in my hand like a weapon. Nothing looked stolen. Nothing was out of place. But there was something off. I could feel it. Then I noticed the picture frame on my bookshelf was turned around. A picture of me and Sarah from a weekend trip to Lake Erie. Just turned around. I never do that. I called the police. They found no signs of forced entry. They said maybe I left it unlocked. I knew I hadn't. The next day I changed the locks. Bought a camera for the hallway. Told my landlord everything. Sarah begged me to come stay with her again, but I refused. I wasn't going to let fear push me out of the life I was rebuilding. About a week later, I got a message from someone I didn't know on Facebook. A woman named Claire. "Hi, Lisa. I hope this isn't weird. I think we need to talk. It's about Mike." I hesitated before replying. Something in me said not to open that door again. But curiosity won. I messaged her back. She asked if we could meet in person. Public place, her treat. I agreed, mostly because I wanted answers. We met at a busy diner downtown. Claire was younger than me, maybe late 20s. Nervous. She kept playing with her coffee spoon. "I'm sorry to bother you," she started. "I've been seeing Mike for a few months now." I stared at her. My throat went dry. I didn't know what to say. She continued. "He told me he was divorced. Said it was your fault. That you didn't support his friendships. That you were controlling. But then I found messages from him, talking about you. Missing you. Saying you'd come back around. It didn't feel right. My hands clenched under the table. So I looked you up. I read what you posted on that forum. I know it's you. I recognized details. The couch, the weekends, the bro time. He twisted everything. I nodded slowly. Everything inside me tightened. Claire looked ashamed. He said if I ever reached out to you, he'd cut me off. But I didn't want to stay quiet anymore. You deserve to know he's still lying. Still manipulating. I left the diner with a storm inside me. Mike wasn't just sorry. He was circling. Trying to keep his claws in both of us. Still trying to control the story. Still trying to make himself the victim. That night, I blocked his number, changed my social accounts, and updated my building security. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Mike always hated losing. And I wasn't sure how far he'd go now that he realized he couldn't win me back. The next morning, someone egged my car. In broad daylight. Middle of the complex lot. The camera footage showed nothing. Somehow, someone knew the blind spots. I reported it again. Police took the report but didn't do much. I didn't have proof it was Mike. I just knew. Then one night, Sarah texted me something that turned my blood cold. Did you tell Mike about my cabin trip next weekend? No, I typed back. Why? She sent a screenshot of a message from an unknown number. Enjoy your little girl's weekend. Shame if someone ruined it. I looked at that message for a long time. It wasn't over. It was just getting started. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at my phone. That message from the unknown number burned into my brain. I knew it was Mike. The timing, the words, too specific, too pointed. He never could handle not being in control. And now that I was living without him, he didn't just want me back. He wanted to make me regret leaving. I called Sarah the next morning and told her everything. She was silent for a long time. We're not going to that cabin, she finally said. No, I told her. We are. But we're not going alone. Sarah's cousin, Eric, used to be in the military. He worked private security now. She made a few calls, and by the end of the day, he agreed to come with us quietly, no drama, just to be sure nothing happened. Sarah didn't want to live in fear, and neither did I. The weekend came. We packed like normal, drove out to the cabin near Hocking Hills. Beautiful area. Quiet, peaceful, surrounded by woods. The air smelled like pine and cold morning dew. Eric followed us in a separate car, low profile. He didn't stay inside with us, just parked nearby, kept watch, checked in regularly. The first night was uneventful. We drank wine, laughed about old times, tried to forget the mess back home. Second night, just after midnight, we heard something outside. A crunch, leaves, a soft snap. Sarah froze mid-sentence. We both looked at each other. Then the power went out. Pitch black. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight. Sarah was already on the move toward her bag where she kept pepper spray. Eric was through the front door in seconds. I saw someone, he said, breath steady. Male. Hoodie. Bolted when I approached. He chased the guy down the trail for nearly half a mile before losing him in the dark. Came back winded but calm. He knew the area, Eric said. He wasn't just wandering. He was looking for something. Or someone. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. And in the morning, we found boot prints near the cabin window. One of them had a cigarette, but crushed beside it. Mike smoked when he was stressed. I'd seen him do it hundreds of times even after he said he quit. We called the sheriff's office. Gave them everything. They couldn't prove it was Mike. But they told us to file for a restraining order. I did that Monday morning. A week later, I was at the grocery store when I spotted someone watching me. A man in a ball cap, sunglasses, loitering by the checkout. When I left, he followed me out. Didn't say a word. Just stood across the lot, pretending to look at his phone. I called Eric again. He started running periodic checks on my car, even installed a small GPS tracker under the frame just in case someone else tried to. Then Claire messaged me again. I broke up with him, she wrote. He got scary. He kept asking me where you were. He said he needed one last conversation to get closure. I don't know what he's planning. Please be careful. I asked her for anything she could give, messages, threats, screenshots. She sent them all. I printed them, handed them to my lawyer, the police, the court. The restraining order was finally approved. Mike was legally blocked from coming near me. Things settled down after that. For about a month. Until one night, I came home and found a dead rabbit on my doorstep. Clean, no blood, just stiff and cold with its neck twisted at a weird angle. No note. No prints. No camera footage. Just silence. I stood there for a long time, staring at it until a neighbor came out and saw me. She helped me bag it. Said she'd seen a man walk up my porch about an hour earlier, then walk away without knocking. When the cops came, I could see it in their faces. They couldn't do much without proof. Again, it wasn't enough for Mike to scare me. He wanted me to live in a state of constant panic. Like he was everywhere. Like I couldn't escape him. But then something shifted. Sarah called me one morning, breathless. "You need to see this," she said. She sent me a link to a local news report. A man had been arrested for breaking into his ex-girlfriend's apartment in Cleveland. It was Dave. He'd spiraled. After moving back and losing his second chance with his ex, he started harassing her, following her, showing up outside her job. The thing is, Mike and Dave talked all the time. I knew it. Claire knew it. Even when Dave moved, they never really cut ties. And if Dave was escalating, maybe Mike was taking cues from him. I brought all of it back to the cops. They started paying more attention. One officer took my case seriously, Officer Daniels. He said, "Guys like this? They don't just stop. They wait until everyone's tired of dealing with it." He helped push for an investigation. They checked Mike's location history. And then, finally, a break. One of the cameras in the woods by Sarah's cabin caught him. His face, blurry but clear enough. Time-stamped. Matched the time the power went out. He was trespassing, violating the order. They picked him up a week later. But that wasn't the end of it. Because when they searched his car, they found something more than anyone expected. A black notebook, filled with detailed notes about me. My routines. Places I visited. My grocery list. What time I took out the trash. Who I talked to. What I wore. Every page was dated. Every page proved one thing. He was never trying to win me back. He was planning something else. The notebook changed everything. It was like reading the diary of someone who didn't see me as a person, just an object he used to own. The pages were filled with details, but it wasn't just about stalking. It was about control. It was a script. He was writing how he thought my life should go. One entry said, "She'll fold. She always does. Cry first, then come back." I didn't cry. Not this time. The cops charged Mike with stalking, violating a protective order, trespassing, and harassment. The case got picked up by a local reporter who covered domestic abuse stories. They blurred my name, but people figured it out anyway. Old neighbors, coworkers, even my extended family started reaching out. Some of them were kind. Some weren't. One of Mike's cousins messaged me, blaming me for ruining his life. I just forwarded the message to the detective and blocked her. Mike's parents called my old job and tried to get me fired, saying I was unstable and dangerous. They didn't know I had already switched companies and that my new boss? She was a survivor too. She told me, let them try. But the real moment came at the court hearing. Mike walked in looking nothing like the man I married. Gaunt, tired, beaten down. But the arrogance was still there. He smirked when he saw me, like this was all just a big misunderstanding he could charm his way out of. Then his lawyer stood up and read from his notebook, because the court allowed it as evidence. The courtroom was quiet as a mouse as she read one line out loud. "If I can't have her, no one should. She was mine before she was hers." That line was written the day after Claire dumped him. The same day I got the dead rabbit. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. I wanted him to see that his fear tactics didn't work anymore. Not on me. Not on anyone. Claire testified too. She was nervous but strong. She looked him dead in the eye and told the court everything. His lies, his manipulation, the threats. So did Sarah. And Eric. And even the neighbor who helped me bag that rabbit. The judge didn't hesitate. Restraining order extended 10 years. Full no contact. Felony stalking, guilty. Trespassing and harassment. Guilty. 2 years in prison. No parole for at least 14 months. People said it wasn't enough time. Maybe it wasn't. But watching him get led away in cuffs? Watching that smirk fall off his face as the reality hit him? It was enough for me. After the verdict, I stepped outside and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. The air smelled different. Free. But here's where I admit something most people don't. I made mistakes too. Not the kind that excused Mike's behavior, nothing ever could. But I ignored red flags for years. I let small disrespect slide. I tried too hard to be the cool wife who didn't complain when her husband ignored her for his friends. I convinced myself it would get better if I just waited it out. I stayed silent when I should have spoken. I said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. I thought love meant loyalty, even when it wasn't returned. So yeah, I made mistakes. But I paid for mine by walking through fire, picking up the pieces, and choosing myself. Mike? He'll pay with his time behind bars. Dave? Last I heard, he was facing his own set of charges. Turns out, there were other women he messed with before his ex in Cleveland. Once the news about Mike broke, they came forward too. The cops started connecting dots. Patterns. Warnings people had brushed off. And the others who made excuses for him. His family, his cousin, the friends who stayed quiet, they stopped showing their faces when the truth came out. Silence became their shame. I don't need revenge anymore. I have peace. I have my life back. I have me.